To enjoy a mushroom, it's just to eat a mushroom. I've been growing mushrooms on this farm for 21 years now. We started supplying checkers. We were very excited about it. We are still very excited because it allowed us to have access to more than 364 stores. And that allows us to deliver a lot more volume. It enabled us to grow to where we are today. We currently supply more than 16,000 first-grade pallets of mushrooms. When we are operating fully, we have a staff complement of about 175, which is permanent jobs. And 52% would be women. Some of them have been here for more than 20 years. A lot of people eat with their eyes, so they have to look nice, even though it doesn't correspond to the taste. They always taste nice. But our mushrooms look better because we control better.
Welcome to the I'm an Entrepreneur Summit, proudly brought to you by our sponsors F&B in association with Renault and ShopRite. My name is Karabon Sweng and I am your host. Our primary goal here at I'm an Entrepreneur is to help entrepreneurs build and grow their businesses. But for a business leader to grow, it means that they need to really put a sharp focus on personal development. Now, all modern business leaders know that at the heart of every successful organization is its people. But it is very important for the business to grow. It means that the people within the organization need to develop, grow, and flourish. Join us today for this fascinating topic of personal development as we also chat to a couple of people who will let you in on their stories and journeys of personal development. We'd love for you to engage with us. If you are watching via YouTube or Facebook, then you can engage with us in the comment section. And if you are watching on our website, then you can send us a WhatsApp message on 078-350-0768. We are also on Twitter. You can follow us at IAAESA, and the official hashtag is IAAE Summit. Let's get the summit underway. First up to share her story of personal development at a moment that really sticks out is the founder of Beauty on Tap, Matebe Modise.
My name is Matebe Modise and I'm the founder of Beauty on Tap. And Beauty on Tap is basically a platform that retails a whole lot of cosmetics, self-care products, skincare products, and we basically deliver all over the country and to Botswana and Swaziland as well. So I always tell the story. So a friend of mine was getting married in Cape Town and we wanted to find a makeup artist in Cape Town. We didn't really know the area. And so I thought find a beauty service application would be really cool to launch. And I looked into finding app developers and actually developed the app. And at the time it was a find a service beauty app. We also had a product side of the application where people could find niche beauty brands. And people kind of said it would be cool if we could buy all these beauty brands from one platform because they were kind of logging onto the application, and buying one product from one brand and another one from another and paying double shipping fees. So just for convenience sake, people said it would be nice to have a platform that retails local niche beauty brands on one platform where they pay one shipping fee, it gets delivered in one box to their door. And so in 2016, we launched an e-commerce website called Beauty on Tap, Shop Beauty on Tap. And over the years, we've grown our brand offering and we have over 60 brands now on the website available for people to shop. So as somebody who comes from a corporate background, as late as now in April 2022, I just resigned and went full-time Beauty on Tap then. Personal development was really important in a corporate environment, all the way from my articles through to when I finished where I worked. Mapping out your career trajectory, mapping out your personal development, like your emotional and mental stability and how you want to, get to a better place has always been really important. And a lot of what I learned in corporate is what I've brought into my business as well. I also wasn't necessarily in a leadership role where I was, where I worked. And so coming into a business where I have to lead people has also been really important. important, but more so I think through COVID and so on, being mentally healthy, physically healthy and so on has been really important to me. And so I always try and, do things to keep myself, healthy. My personal development in terms of being a leader also is really important. I had the opportunity to have a career coach when I was at my previous employer, and she basically, talked me through a lot of personal development, things that I need to look out for in my life in terms of how I grow myself as an individual and as a leader as well. So it's been really important to me, just making sure I'm always improving on myself as well and bringing that into the Beauty on Tap culture as well. I think the one thing that's really important is we have like a feedback or review every 6 months here at Beauty on Tap. And I also like getting reviews and feedback from the team members as well, which also helps me as a leader to develop. In my personal life, I always engage people on, what is it that I can improve on in terms of developing myself and improving myself. And something that's really important to me is fitness. I work out quite a lot. That's really important for my mental health as well and just keeping me sane. But even with my fitness, I always try and like next level my fitness goals as well, just to, challenge myself. Because I know that if I can do something at gym, then, it kind of feels like I can take on the world. So I always try and improve myself, understand myself a lot more, and also take feedback from people is really important in growing myself as a human being as well, and how I interact with other people. I think something that I've been really passionate about in my business is coming from an investment banking background that was really high performance and you kind of have to work all the time. That's something that I knew I don't want in my business. I was never an anxious person, and now all of a sudden I'm anxious. And so in my business, I really preach mental health a lot as well. I want people to develop their careers, but also kind of like be sane, work normal hours. And so I really try and, make sure that people have a good balance in their lives, but also grow their careers as well. Because I know the importance of growing your career, of articulating where you want to be in 5 years' time. And so I always try encourage people in the team and myself to take the necessary steps to get to where they want to be in terms of career development and personal development. But I also kind of like harp on the importance of balancing that with your life, keeping healthy as well, and just kind of giving people boundaries in terms of work and life balance. So that's been really, really important, and that's something that I absolutely didn't want to take from corporate into my own business. I think with how quickly business changes, something can trend 1 second, then, in another minute, there's a different thing trending. And so just in terms of personal development, it kind of is the same in a way, is that you always have to keep yourself up to date. You always have to try and improve on yourself, be a better person as well. And so for an entrepreneur, I think just developing yourself personally, being up to date in terms of your career, your skills, your expertise is really important. Just keeping your health, and that development, on track is also really important. So as an entrepreneur, just from a skill set perspective, it's important to keep up to date. But I always say that the most important thing as an entrepreneur is just to keep yourself healthy and, mentally sound as well. So 3 lessons that have been really important to me is, number 1, boundaries have been really important. Just, taking yourself out of your business as well. The one thing that I used to do was obsess about Beauty on Tap a lot. And the one thing I had to do was take a step back and say that I can't let it kind of take over my life. So boundaries are really, really important for me. I even say to the team, no one's allowed to contact me before 8 in the morning, just so I have my own time to myself. Another thing is to just keep yourself skilled up. learn new things all the time. Your business is only as great as you are because you own it. It is you. So always try to keep yourself up to date in terms of new developments. And another thing as an entrepreneur is you are the leader of your business. How the culture grows in your business is up to you. And so always kind of try lead with compassion, lead with heart as well, understand people. That's been really important, and just learning those skills in terms of how to lead people is really, really important. So those are the things that I really keep within me every single day and try to push and maintain.
Thank you, Matebe, for sharing your story with us. You're a true inspiration. We're off to an ad break, but when we come back, we need to step into a consultation with the business doctor.
Achieve big every day. Renault Quid.
Welcome back. You are watching the I'm an Entrepreneur Summit. You are right on time for our consultation with the business doctor, Kitumeti Legaba. Today, she's exploring the theme, personal development.
Hello, entrepreneurs. Welcome to another segment with myself, the business doctor, Kitumeti Legaba, MD at I'm an Entrepreneur. Personal development for entrepreneurs. Quite tricky, this one. When I thought about it, I thought to myself, what are my 5 tips that I could share with entrepreneurs to help them with their personal development? Number 1, always remember your why. Why did you start what you were doing? Remembering the why helps you in being resilient. It helps you to not give up, and it also helps you to keep going with whatever impact that you want to create with whatever you're doing with your businesses. Number 2, stay compliant. I can never stress this enough. The risk of not being compliant is too high, not only for your business, but for your stress levels too as an entrepreneur. Don't let the red tape of compliance stress you out and not make you achieve whatever goals and objectives you have for your own businesses. Number 3, expand your knowledge. Read, speak to people, know what's happening within the environment that you're operating in. The more you know, the more you learn, it gives you more confidence, and it gives you the ability to be able to carry out your tasks, whatever you need to do on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and on an annual business. Number 4, your mindset matters. Be positive. Fuel yourself with things that help you. Exercise, read, meditate, eat healthy. Make sure that you fuel yourself before you can even fuel your business. Remember what they say, you can't feed from an empty cup. Number 5, breathe and rest. Don't be like the hamster on the wheel. The whole day a hamster is on that wheel with no productivity. Don't get stuck in the trap of being busy versus not being productive. So with that said, breathe, rest, and concentrate on productivity and not busyness. With that said, good luck with your personal development journeys, and let that help you build and grow your sustainable business.
And that was the business doctor, always on call and ready to give you a remedy for your business. What were your key learnings from Kitumeti today? Do let us know by commenting in the comment section via YouTube or Facebook, if that's where you are tuned in from. If you are streaming via our website, do drop us a WhatsApp message on 078-350-0768. Up next, we've got entrepreneurship news from here and around the globe.
Let's take a look at the latest news impacting your business and the world around you. Interest rates are back at pre-pandemic levels after the SA Reserve Bank hiked rates by 75 basis points for a second meeting in a row. The move brings the repo rate to 6.25% and the prime rate to 9.75%. The governor of the SA Reserve Bank, Lesetja Kganyago, said risks to the inflation outlook are assessed to the upside. What is detrimental to the economy at the moment is the rising cost of living, which is depicted through inflation, and that failure to deal with inflation now could be detrimental to the economy down the line, Kganyago said, and that is what our focus is. Be sure to keep an eye on these interest rates and recalculate the impact they have on you, your business, and your customers. The Shoprite Group has launched a new supply chain finance product, Credex, which is set to help its suppliers, especially SMMEs, with access to funding. The Credex finance product, which is often cheaper than bank financing, is available to all the group suppliers and is expected to assist especially SMMEs for whom cash flow constraints and access to affordable funding are often significant growth obstacles. The benefits include an affordable financing product with an all-inclusive interest rate and no additional fees, 100% of invoice value available for financing, no further onboarding requirements as the group has already vetted its suppliers, and approval and payment of financing within 24 to 48 hours. There's a definite need in the market, especially among small and medium-sized suppliers who struggle to access finance through traditional routes, said Jean Olivier, Shoprite's General Manager for Financial Services. While there are alternative supplier finance products available, we can provide a better service to the Shoprite Group's extensive ecosystem, and we expect this initiative to build even stronger supplier relationships. If you're an existing Shoprite supplier and would like to learn more about this initiative, or you're interested in becoming a supplier to the group, please visit shopriteholdings.co.za. Lastly, the Competition Commission has approved Heineken's takeover of Distal on certain conditions that aim to improve transformation and assist small businesses within their supply chain. The parties have also agreed to a number of other public interest commitments, including 10 billion rand over 5 years to maintain and grow the productive operations in South Africa. Also required is a 400 million rand supplier development fund and 200 million rand to promote localization and growth initiatives in SA. Additionally, 175 million rand must also be spent on a tavern transformation program to create safe, responsible, and sustainable businesses with a positive impact for consumers and society. If you're in this line of business, be sure to keep a close eye on these developments to seek out opportunities for you and your business.
And that is what's happening in the world of business. We're about to take a break, but when we come back, find out how you can get your products on the shelf at Shoprite. And we've also got Viewpoints with Jeremy Maggs.
This is where the story begins. It's my daughter's 11th birthday party. She wanted to have a bunch of friends over, so there was lots of pizza. It was epic. Got onto my phone and I Googled corn dogs near me. Nothing showed up. How do I not have corn dogs in Joburg? So I thought, okay, well then it's fine. I'll just make my own. Corn dogs were the number one favorite of the day. I told my husband, he was like, you could be onto something. So the rest is history. He was like, let's do something about it. I started calling every hour for several days. I was very persistent. We got our meeting set up with the buyer, with a promise, and had a billion questions, which he answered them all. The day that our awesome distributors came to pick up these packets, I couldn't believe they were leaving, and it felt like my children were leaving my house. So they entered stores, and I tell you, for the first week, myself, my husband, my staff, everybody in my family, we were finding every checkers that we could and making sure the temperatures were the correct temperature, checking sure the boxes were stacked okay, watching people buy our product. It was incredibly well received. And today we've got about 38 staff, and we can see what the employment we've given them is doing in the lives of the community. This additional income is helping us expand our business to places we didn't think or know it could get to. So we have an original chicken flavor, a chicken cheese, and a chili cheese, or jalapeno cheese. So we want to cater for everybody, and we do. No one ever has one, ever.
Welcome back. You are still watching the I'm an Entrepreneur Summit, brought to you by our sponsors F&B in association with our partners Renault and ShopRite. Coming up next, our partners at ShopRite bring you On the Shelf, hosted by Maud Modise. This feature is all about giving you all the insights and information you need to find out how you can get your products on the shelf at ShopRite.
Hi, I'm Maud Modise from the ShopRite Group, and this is On the Shelf, where we talk about what it takes to get your product retail ready. Today, I've got Gail from Popcakes, and she's going to be telling us more about her products and all the delicious stuff she keeps producing on a daily basis. Gail, how did you start your business? What is it about? And give us a bit more context around it.
Thank you, Maud. Thank you for having me. Well, Popcakes started by mistake, actually. So I had 2 days on my hands and started to make cake pops in my kitchen. Sold them to a couple of friends for their kids' birthday parties, and then decided to try social media. So I put it out on Facebook, and it was just the right timing because it was Valentine's Day.
Oh, hey.
And wow, I just got inundated with orders, and I thought, there's a business here. And so I put my heart and mind to it, and I got passionate about Popcakes, and we just started from there. But all along, I thought this business has to be bigger. It has to be a production line. So even when we were 2 people in the kitchen, we were thinking in terms of production line and how could we scale up. And so all along, I had a vision that it was going to be more than just a home bake project. So that's how we started. We've evolved, our products have evolved, and in that we developed the Pippa Pop character. She is just too cute, has a little video that teaches the kids how to ice their own biscuits. So you can buy your own iced biscuit, but you can also buy the kit that you can ice your own at home. We also have a special product that's only available at Checkers, which is a carrot cake and caramel malva pudding. It is to die for.
And also, just to get into the process that you go into while producing your product, it's not a fully automated process. So how do you then adjust it and alter it as you grow, as you get new customers? How do you then adjust that process?
So it can be automated, but it's most certainly not the way that we think at Popcakes. We believe the purpose of Popcakes was actually to employ people. We don't employ people to ice biscuits. We ice biscuits to employ people.
Oh.
So scaling up and getting a team together, it helps to have processes in place. It helps to think through, think as if you're a big company and if you're a big production line. It's much easier once you have the processes in place and the management of your production line quite streamlined. It's much easier to scale. You have to, as an entrepreneur, have to think out of the box. It's a bit of a step-up process each time you grow, and so you've got to be very careful not to spend money and upscale in the wrong way and at the wrong timing. So I have been innovative when we've landed very big orders, and especially with seasonal stuff. Yes. With our Christmas and Valentine's and Easter, it goes a bit bananas in our factory. We've introduced what we call a Saturday packing team, and that is open to youths and students. It gives them an opportunity to earn a bit of cash and to get workplace experience. And the same time, what it does is it gives my permanent packers an opportunity to actually get to know other parts of the production line.
How many people do you currently employ?
Well, we are growing very fast. So as I sit here today, we are 15. 6 months ago, we were only 8.
So Gail, last question. Where to from here? Where do we see Popcakes in a year, in 2 years' time? Other than getting more Checker stores and obviously getting a bigger footprint, what is in store for your brand?
Well, we've got so many ideas, but we have to do it properly and move at the right pace. But I'm hoping to be in all the retailers at some stage, possibly not in the next 2 years, but I'm hoping to be in all the Checker stores in Gauteng in the next year, maybe. We'll see what happens. It's all up to you, actually, Maud.
But also, maybe just for context as well for our listeners, how do you strike a balance between, obviously now your product is actually, it has a shorter shelf life. So how do you strike a balance between waste, orders? How does all of those moving parts come into what you actually ultimately produce?
Because of my background in systems and data analytics and stuff, my whole business is run on a lot of information. It's critical for a small business. A lot of entrepreneurs don't see that as value, but for me it's critical.
Yeah.
We want orders to be what we know is going to move through that store. So it's very important to collect good data and to analyze it correctly. So my background has always been IT, so I'm very IT orientated in terms of building information systems to help us to actually manage and do the right thing at the right time.
Gail, thank you so much for your time. I wish you lots and lots of success. I can't wait to get home and have a whole lot of your products. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to our partners at ShopRite with their guest, Gail from Popcakes. That was such valuable information for anyone out there that would like to get their products on the shelf at ShopRite. Coming up next, we've got Jeremy Maggs with Viewpoint.
Hello everybody, and a privilege to be in your company again. Welcome to Viewpoint, where we try in every edition to discover the secrets of success of entrepreneurs and industry leaders, and the intention behind that is to give you the tools to apply and to manage in your own business. My name's Jeremy Maggs, and today we're going to deal with a critical component about the so-called business leadership journey. We're talking about personal development, personal growth, setting goals. How do you do that? How do you recalibrate when the goal isn't quite right and you need to reset the compass? Well, we've got an expert to talk to us about that today. Our guest needs no real introduction in that personal development space. He is successful in both the banking space and also has followed his passion, his dream, his desire, and his love of the culinary arts and also the wine industry. It is my great pleasure to welcome to Viewpoint Bodibe Sebolai, who is founder of Bodibe Wines and also a partner in African Culinary Library. I'm looking forward to the conversation. So Bodibe, a very warm welcome to you. Let's talk a little bit about growth and personal development. Interesting journey. A banker, you look like a banker, but you've also followed a very different path, which is your real passion. What is that path?
That path has been about food, which started with wine specifically. I started a wine brand promotion and marketing company, which evolved into running a wine store. And in doing some of those projects, my second love for food, which has always been there, kind of evolved with meeting some of my current business partners in some of the projects that we were doing, that we were finding each other in the same places.
What's your definition of passion when it comes to business? What drove you? What motivated you?
You know, it's for me, it was something that I consistently enjoy, right? That, you know, any day, you know, you'd ask me about wine and I'm ready to share, even when I'm extremely tired, you know what I mean?
So it's not going to work in other words.
No. It's something that feels effortless, something that you also do, you know, naturally off the cuff. You know, if you're bored, what do you look around at? You know, what kind of magazines does one buy, you know, when you have your spare time? So that for me was, when I looked at myself, what are the things I like, you know what I mean, that I can capitalize on? You know, wine, food was, you know, where I spend most of my time. In African Culinary Library is a formation of a couple of businesses and business partners that came together. As I said, when I started Bodibe Wine Collection in a couple of years back, I think around 2017, 2018, 2016 it was, I then started collaborating with my current business partners who run a company called Fresh Yum, and one runs a company called The Local Grill, which is out in Parktown North. In the environments that we're at, we're always saying, you know, how do we promote African cuisine? You know what I mean? How do we talk about African cuisine in the same spectrum as Italian cuisine is spoken about? And one thing
and elevating it.
Elevating it to the same levels, right? And you'd realize that all those food types, when you talk about Italian food or French cuisine, have a spectrum. A spectrum in the sense that you've got food at an entry-level base where the old mama on the street will make you pizza or a pasta, right?
Which is delicious.
Which is delicious, but you can also have pizza at a high-end restaurant.
Precisely.
Yes. So African cuisine ranges in the same in the same spectrum. But for some odd reason, we always seem to talk about African food and African cuisine as only on the entry level and intermediate, right? We never really try and elevate it to that level. So it's something we kept on talking about. How do we do this? How do we do this? And one of our business partners, being Vusin Glover, who's our creative and head chef for African Culinary Rugby, had gone to Milan, and one of the things when you got there cooking for Prada, they asked him, show us African cuisine. You know what I mean? And it's the constant question that comes up, right? And he is trained as a fine dining chef. So that in that shared experience brought us together to build what we call African Library. And our aim is to try and influence, right, and promote African cuisine through the spectrum, similar to how Michelin stars would promote all these other types of cuisines.
Do you have a set of rules or tick boxes when it comes to personal growth? And I guess part of the rules and the tick boxes is also a blueprint. Do you know where you're going to be? Is that the secret of personal growth, is having a compass, a direction?
Yeah. I personally do. I think even over the years, I've learned to do what we call vision boards, over time. I think when I learned about the concept, it helps one clarify where you're going.
Remind us what it is and what you do. What is a vision board?
So a vision board is where you determine where you want to go, where do you want to be in whatever time you want to be.
And illustrate.
And illustrate it through pictures, right? So you will try and crystallize that vision by pictures. So simply when I started, I was like, I'd love to have a house, in Bryanston, and must have these. I'd want to have a vintage Porsche, you know what I mean? I want to, get a master's degree all the way to a PhD. So I put all those things on a vision board and then worked out a plan as to, okay, fine, if I need to do those things, how do I get to start doing them?
Have you got the Porsche?
Not yet, no.
Okay, I'm holding thumbs. There are 3 principles, I think, that guide a personal growth journey. One is experience and what you learn from experience. The second thing, and you did allude to it with Zweli Manyati, is about having a mentor, or at least someone that you can derive wisdom from. And then it's your own ecosystem, it's your friends, it's your family. Let's talk about experience first. The more experienced you become, the more wisdom you gain, the more fuel that adds to your personal growth journey.
Yeah.
But also within that experience, and this is something we've spoken about so often on Viewpoint, it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah. Even though it's a hard thing to get used to, because your natural inclination as a person is to do something perfect the first time around. We don't want to be associated with failure, or you find failure as a hard thing. But as you say, the older you get, the more you realize you have to learn from those mistakes. And a classic example is you start a business on your own and you realize that on your own you can't make it to the vision that you need to. You have to then get people in to assist in building what you're building. It can be quite hard, because you have to allow other people's minds to contribute to what you had in mind.
And that's going to lead to another question in a moment about personal growth and leadership, because in leadership, the people that are part of that journey are also part of the critical ecosystem. Yeah. But let's talk about mentors now. How important has that process been for you?
It's been very...
And how do you use a mentor?
It's been very important, and it's also a very difficult environment, to be honest. I started at a young age with mentors and guys that I looked at that had achieved in areas where I wanted to be. One of my first mentors, and I've found it hard after him to find a much more stable mentor, was Lawton Glover. Lawton Glover at the time was the deputy chairperson of Nedbank at the time. And I think there was some chemistry that was struck between him and I. And he was a very calm and almost like, a teacher, a network teacher at heart. So he was one guy who was really open to say, let me show you how this is done. Always make time in his busy schedule to go through and actually get more involved in who you are and more understanding of where you're trying to be, and really caution you on the decisions you're about to make.
I'm very proud that I have reached the point in my life where I am mentoring 2 people. Yeah. And the one piece of advice I've given them is that you as the mentee have to work the relationship.
Yeah.
Is that it's critical, and I think this is so important in that personal growth journey, is that you can't expect that person to do all the lifting for you.
Yeah.
You've got to make the calls, you've got to set the meetings, you've got to come with an agenda, you've got to open yourself up, you've got to be as honest as you can. Talk to me a little bit about that, how important managing the relationship of mentorship is?
It is important because, and I think in that you show your drive and your real intention and your real potential at in that relationship. And I think when you drive the relationship, the mentor becomes responsive and starts going in the direction you're going in. So I've experienced that with Lockton Globe and some guys that I've engaged is if you make a call and you say, hey, I'm not sure how to make this particular decision, they're able to, reach out from their bags and say, okay, this is how it is. The more
come
you
up
drive
with solutions yourself
Yes.
and discuss it. Don't expect them, as I've just said, to do all the work.
Yes, yes, but it's almost like a therapy discussion at some points. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's. I find that you sit there and you explain to this, and he says, "But why are you not doing this? Why did you not think about that?" Not always providing you the answers, but also questioning you, intently to help you figure out for yourself. Because what I realize is that, if somebody gives you advice and you want to do something in the way they imagine it, it's harder to execute. Right, if it's not necessarily organic or you don't organically understand what it is you're trying to achieve.
You've spoken very warmly about your business partners, but again, on that personal growth journey, what about friends and family? Are they important? How do you bring them into the process? Yeah. How do you make sure that they don't drown in the process as well? Because you got to have a wall, haven't you?
Yeah.
Or at least a fence.
Yeah, sure. It's a very tough one, especially with one who's got wife and kids and very young kids at that. You look. I tend to lose time with my friends, and again with the vision board, you tend to prioritize the things that are there, right? So, I have a ritual about when I leave the house, right? Whatever time I spend must be worthy to be away from my kids and my wife, right? That would be one. The other part is to always even engage with my wife about the business discussions that we have, you know what I mean? The decisions we're about to make so that she's also part of the journey, you know what I mean, and contribute. So it's not you don't always have the separation of, okay, I get home and I have to try and be somebody else at home. I try and have those conversations. Sometimes she's not willing, you know what I mean, because it's just too much to deal with, but it allows her to support in her understanding of what one is doing. I mean, the other part of the support structure is parents. My dad has always been an entrepreneur himself, built his own business, so he's someone who understands. Yeah. He's someone who understands, always gives advice, and his always thing is try it and see how far you can get with something, you know what I mean, and then if it doesn't work, you'll try and do something else.
What's your work ethic like? Are you 24/7 or do you find downtime?
So I do struggle to find downtime because I struggle mentally just to switch off, right? Because you're so engaged throughout. But what I've managed over time is I only work fully during the week, right? And then dedicate my weekends to family. Yeah.
But you'll take the call if you have to on a Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, I do ask. Yes,
Yeah.
I do ask just to segregate certain hours in that time just to be able to take a call.
Part of the development and the growth journey that we've been talking about is predicated, as we discussed at the beginning of this conversation, on enthusiasm, on passion, on the desire to succeed. But there has either come a time or there will come a time when the spark starts to diminish slightly. There's nothing wrong with that, it does. Maybe it's happened to you already, maybe it's still to happen to you. How do you keep the flame alive? Have you worked that out yet?
Sure, it's a tough one. So there's one thing that happens, right, in that period where I become quite disorganized and easily distracted when my goal is no longer very clear. Right, it really affects me emotionally and physically, right? So the minute I recognize that situation, I'm always striving to go back to what did I say I was going to do, right? And there's one thing
back to the vision board.
Back to the vision board. But there's one thing that my dad always said to me was, going through tough times and not continuing with the plan, the next year you're going to come back and say, how do I find myself here again? And that always sits in my mind and saying, life will always happen to you. You just need to stay the course and look at and try and whatever happens, try and get up and do what you need to do.
With the caveat, I accept that 90%, with the caveat that the plan can change organically while you're implementing it. There's nothing wrong with pivoting.
Yeah. It's the plan is really the end goal, right? What are you doing today to achieve the end goal? You might have chose the means, right? But you can variate the means at that point in time to figure out how you get to the goal.
But and sometimes the end goal also changes along the journey, doesn't it?
I try not to, because I fear and one thing I've shared with my friends, I fear the shift in goals, that then you never really get to achieve anything. You know what I mean?
It can be a cop-out.
Yes. You never really get to achieve anything, because if you shift it because of, times are tough, you know what I mean, then you never really achieve anything. The goals change and you're always further from your goal than when you started.
Okay, that's your journey. Now let's talk about your ecosystem. Part of your job as a leader is to make sure that you are developing those people around you.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I try and look for young staff. That will be one. Staff that have a desire to grow and become something. How do
you recognize that quality?
Interviews, right? And that's one thing we're talking about, experience, right? Having worked for the bank, having led some teams, you get quite used to interviewing people. The one thing I learned in that process is you look for people who have a fire about them coming to interviews, and those who are well prepared and they've got the right degrees or whatever it is. The people who are really going to make a success are people who are really hungry. Right. So, an ex CEO of mine always said he once hired a waitress who became a successful banker. Right. But when we got on hire, we look for Jeremy with the right qualifications for the role, and would take years to try and find the right people. And he says, if you find those people, you're able to work with them. There are a lot of times where you work with people that you can't even motivate, when their main aim is just get a salary at the end of the day and go home.
And sometimes it's just serendipity, it's just chemistry, isn't
That's true. That's true, right? It's just, you have that frame formula, but sometimes you meet somebody, you connect, and then you make the decision on that basis.
In the personal development of others, again, you'll also make mistakes. What have you learnt on that journey?
Learn to cut ties at the right time, right? And the one way to phrase it that I learned over time is, if you make an investment, you create an investment floor, right? If the share drops below that floor or hits that floor, you need to let it go, right? Because a lot of times you get emotionally involved with people, you get emotionally involved with staff, you get highly invested, that even when they've broken the floor, your floor, you tend to go far with them, and that is detrimental for everyone. So
but the fundamental learning there is that they are staff. They're
Yes.
not necessarily your friends.
Yes. Yes.
And people conflate the two sometimes,
Yes.
and that's dangerous.
Yes. So the idea that you're investing in someone, right, is that investment, bringing a return? For so long as you have to let it go.
Final question then, aside from the vintage Porsche, and I have every expectation of a ride once you get it, what about the rest of the personal growth journey? I'm assuming that if it was a step ladder we're talking about, you're some way up that step ladder. You have achieved certain goals, you have more goals to achieve. How do you keep accelerating on?
So maybe the one thing that changes is in terms of your goals is the purpose and meaning of your goals. So the Porsche no longer became something that had great purpose. What drives me now is building a big organization that can have an impact in the country and the world. And it's personal to me, because it's one of those things where I've got a son and daughters who I one day want to say that's what you can achieve. So that for me, having kids has sort of slightly changed it to saying, what do you really want to leave behind as a legacy for your child? How do you want people to really look at what you've done? So it's trying to find meaning in what you do, and the goal is much more bigger, to really have ACL. You can kind of really achieve the goal of impacting the world and improving what African cuisine looks like, and making it a bigger organization than what we said.
I wish you nothing but personal success.
Thank you so much.
In your continuing journey. So interesting, and thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Yet another insightful viewpoint. Thank you very much to Jeremy and Budibe. Now, this man really followed his passion, and I think it's such a big part of his journey towards personal development. What did you take from Viewpoint today? Do let us know by commenting in the comment section on YouTube or Facebook if that's where you are watching from. And if you're watching anywhere else, you can send us a WhatsApp on 078-350-0768. We are also on Twitter. The official hashtag is IAAE Summit. We're about to take an ad break, and then when we come back, the journey continues towards personal development. Welcome back. You are still watching the I'm an Entrepreneur Summit, brought to you by our sponsors at FNB. Now, they are always rated one of the best banks when it comes to their digital innovations. So how can our sponsors at FNB help you towards your journey of personal development? Graham Cole, who is the FNB regional head in Mpumalanga, tells us more.
I'm with FNB since '89. It's a long time. I've been a bit of the furniture around here at the moment, and I currently find myself stationed in Mpumalanga. I'm the regional head here, and I look after business. And so, yeah, I've had a huge amount of exposure to entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs tend to put personal development right on the back burners. If there's one thing that I've seen across the country with entrepreneurs is it's that level of energy. So they're much more focused on just doing. They're much more focused on go, go, go. So, you know, their focus always tends to be, we want to grow this business. They've come up with this idea. They've got this concept. They might have even got it incubated and it's got going. So now it's just all about growth, growth, growth. And the sad part about that is that the lack of personal development is really exposed when you start to grow a business, because that's when the real challenges of a business become evident. So that growth phase is actually the phase where you need personal development more than anything. So I think if entrepreneurs could just bring that personal development in, at least during the growth journey, better before, if you can get some of that up front, but if not, at least bring it in during your growth phase. It's critical, because growth is really going to expose some weaknesses if you haven't got a bit of that personal development under the belt. There's definitely differences between those entrepreneurs that have gone through a journey of self-development and those that haven't. And I kind of think maybe there's 4 areas that I'd like to sort of highlight. Those are the ones that I really see commonly. The first one is that inability to step back from operational. So they continue to stay operational in the business. So, you know, early years or early days in your business, it's probably fine to be very operational, very hands-on, have the keys on your belt and you're the one opening and closing every day. But, you know, as that business grows, you've definitely got to be able to step back and become more strategic versus operational, so that you can ensure that this business continues to grow. So I think that's the one thing that they really struggle with. The other thing is service providers. You know, as an entrepreneur, you quickly learn that you definitely need service providers around you. You know, whether it's somebody to do your accounting, whether it's somebody in your banking world, it doesn't matter who it is. There's often areas where you have to rely on people, and if you haven't developed yourself in some other way, it's very difficult for you to recognize what's good service and what's bad service that's coming to you. So I think that personal development is critical, because unfortunately, poor service providers will prey on the ignorant, you know. So if you don't protect yourself, you're going to get preyed upon. The other one, of course, is managing cash flow. This is probably one of the biggest that we see out there. You know, the bank balance tends to become the profit line for so many entrepreneurs in those early days, and they can't separate their personal sort of spending and their business need, and that's a massive issue, and it's actually the downfall probably of most businesses, because typically these early growth phases, you see nice big chunky bank balances, but you don't understand how those are going to translate into cash flow needs going forward. So yeah, cash management and separating personal and business needs is critical. And then I think probably the single biggest differentiator I see is those guys that have spent a bit of time on self-development, just their personal confidence is so much higher. They're able to engage with service providers. They're able to engage with potential customers. They're able to engage with their employees. They're able to engage with their banking partner. It's a huge differentiator, that level of confidence that you see with the guys that have taken that step up through personal development. I think there's a couple of ways that FNB can definitely help. So, you know, the first one for entrepreneurs out there is just through our banking app. You can upskill yourself through Fundaba, which is a platform where we have a lot of content, which gives you those basic. It helps you with the pitfalls of those traps early days in business. It helps you with dealing with growth. And what I like about the Fundaba platform is it's relevant stuff. It's It's entrepreneurs who will talk to you. It's videos. It's not this heavy text that you got to scroll through and do a lot of reading. It's available in multiple languages, so you can get something that's familiar to you and speaks to you and not difficult to understand. So yeah, Fundaba, it's totally free. It's on the FNB banking app, and it's available to anybody. So yeah, just get started on the FNB app and you'll find Fundaba under our business platform. The other one is some of our partnerships through eBucks. eBucks has opened doors to two really great partnerships. One is Bib, B-I-B, Bib Audiobooks, and Bib Audiobooks is a African content audiobook channel. So you can get, and they have a lot of free content in there as well. They have business in there, they have personal development in there, they have a lot of different books and categories. So again, it's audio, it's easy to listen, it's you can do it while driving, you can, it's a great mechanism. And then obviously the other really powerful one is the partnership with Udemy. So Udemy, for as little as 50 Rand a month, you can get a full course. There are just hundreds of topics on Udemy. So Udemy is from some of the most basic skills, self-development. It can be some of your harder skills like Microsoft and Word and how to work with those different packages. And there's just a ton of information on Udemy. So yeah, those are two great platforms. And then I think the other one that you must never underestimate is your banker, your FNB banker. So, if your banker is dealing with entrepreneurs every single day, so he's talking to people who are overcoming challenges, that are seeing challenges. There's just so much information at the fingertips of your banker. So I really believe that's a massive source of information for you. Don't overlook it. They're a great source of help, of guidance, and experience. They've really seen a hell of a lot of entrepreneurs out there, some successful, some not, so they really can give you great insight. So I think, yeah, those are a couple of great channels, and very cost effective as well.
Thank you very much, Graham, for letting us in on how FNB can help entrepreneurs with their journey towards personal development. Up next, we're going across the country and catching up with entrepreneurs that are doing amazing work. Here's word of mouth.
I am Sebo Karaki. I'm the founder and the creative director of Karaki Clothing. And what Karaki Clothing is we are a business that makes clothing for both women and men. We specialize in streetwear and we specialize also in everyday clothing. So we are based in Johannesburg CBD. Our main mission, or what makes us amazing, is the fact that we are a business that is custom based. Our customers come important, they tell us what we do, so we are customer focused. And we are a custom-made business. So you tell us what you want, we make it for you. So this is who we are. My biggest challenge as an entrepreneur that I've had so far has to be the pandemic and the fact that we are still facing the pandemic. So that for me has still been the biggest challenge. What about the pandemic was very hard was how you never know what tomorrow happens. The uncertainty of it. The fact that today there's this level that we're working on, and then the next thing there's a new variant or there's a new something that we have to deal with. So the pandemic has definitely been something that is challenging for me as a small business owner. I am Sebo Maravella and I'm an entrepreneur.
Greetings, my name is Luyanda Boyingosi Majorka. I am the founder and creator of Black Radio, an upstart independent media company focused on promoting and uplifting young creative talent in the country. I would say what makes it great is the fact that it's promoting and uplifting young people in a time where youth are struggling with unemployment, struggling with following their dreams, and struggling with finding a way to support themselves and carry themselves through life. What makes me great is my drive and ambition and willingness to help others in order to help the country as a whole. And I would say the one thing I've learned from entrepreneurship is flexibility and patience. Being able to adapt and evolve and always being on my feet, never allowing the challenges that come my way to overwhelm me and overcoming any obstacle. I am Luyanda Boyingosi Majorka and I am an entrepreneur.
Buds Jennings, and I'm an entrepreneur, creative director. My business is Black Hearts, Black Minds Media, Proprietary Limited, and we basically specialize in brand management, strategic brand marketing, integrated marketing communication. We do creative direction in the sense of brand positioning, brand management, digital marketing, and I also offer small company profile management in the sense of logo designs, in the sense of creating them the stationery that they need for all of their branding material. It is more on an online spectrum, hence we say that we specialize in digital marketing amongst most of the services. What basically makes me great as an individual is my perspective in life. I'm a person that's always hungry for knowledge, always being different to the next person and being able to introduce a concept that one can say, oh, I learned something from Ubalungi. One of my biggest lessons as an entrepreneur is, nothing comes easy. It's not an overnight process. It's a lot of sweat, blood, and tears that go into every single concept that one comes up with. And if you really are for it, it is very important for you to continue to keep your eyes on the ball. Never shift your eyes on the ball, because it's easy for you to lose focus of your path if you keep checking at the scoreboard. Rather keep your eyes on the ball such that you're able to get to your goal quicker through the goals that you've set for yourself. I'm Buds Jennings and I'm an entrepreneur.
One of our favorite things to do here at I'm an Entrepreneur is putting our future business leaders on. Now, if you would like to be featured in the next episode when we do word of mouth, very easy. Let us in on your business. info@imanentrepreneur.co.za. That's the email address to use. And who knows, we could be featuring your business next. Now, we've almost reached the end of the summit, but never without a little bit of wisdom from Pearls of the Hustle and a visit to the book corner.
Seeing my product in the shop, it makes me want to do more. I went into the veggie department. There was an old lady pushing a trolley, and she went there, she took the packet of green beans, she looked at it, she says, no, I want 1532. Where is 1532 here? Because I bought it last time, it was so nice. And I was just close to her, and she didn't know that it was my green beans. Then I was so excited about it. She left the other one and go. Really, this is a true story. I've seen it with my real eye. Before I had my own farm, I was a foreman around Hazelview. While I was working at the fresh produce there, we had a shortage of spinach. I took that advantage and went home and started planting out of a backyard. I've started to supply my previous employee. A lot of hard work, yes. I've managed to save some money while I was working there, because the money for the spinach that I was selling while I was there, all that money to come and buy a farm. Shop right into Shile Kudu gore ke be le yona on board, because gona jale ke kgona go lema ke supply ka nako and e tšee stock sa ga ka ka moka sona. Over the last 10 years, I've supplied Freshmark with over 1 million packets of green beans. We pack only the nice green beans. So all those broken one and the skew one, we give it to the orphanage. They say that the hands that gives is the one that receives a lot of blessing.
Welcome back. You are still watching the I'm an Entrepreneur Summit. Time for introspection, learning, and growth with Sfiso Tanisa, who is the co-founder of Limo Lab. Here's a step into the book corner.
My name is Sfiso Tanisa. I am the CEO and co-founder of Limo Lab. Limo Lab is an innovative platform for kids who can engage in African languages. They will be entertained and educated while they are enjoying seeing themselves and seeing stories that they can relate to. I like to read a variety of books, but my favorites are biographies. So I'm going to be talking about 3 books. So the first book is called Happiness, and a blow-up doll named Percy by Dale Heffer. I love this book. It's full of humor. I laughed quite a lot. It's full of humor and also full of life lessons. So I'm just going to pick on 3 of them that impacted me directly, and I enjoyed reading the chapters. So the first chapter, that she opens a book with the first chapter, and she talks about knowing yourself, being yourself, and also knowing your defects. And this calls for a lot of introspection, honest introspection, in knowing who you are. And therefore, once you know what your character defects are, you're able then to counter that. So from a startup founder point of view, this is quite important, because when you know who you are, you know what your defects are, and therefore you're able to surround yourself with people who can complement your defects, and also helps you to know how to interact in certain situations. But most importantly, that you're able to show up authentically in the various situations that you find yourselves, or various platforms where you have to speak and present yourself as an entrepreneur. I think for me, it's critical that you show up as who you are and not try to be somebody else. So being independent. So I love that chapter. And the other chapter that I really enjoyed reading, she calls it Chill Your Tits, which is basically relax. You know, as founders, we carry many hats. You find yourself doing so many different things. And you can become uptight and a bit stressed. And here she emphasizes the importance of learning to relax. And she phrases it as chill your tits. And it's got to be intentional, right? You've got to be able to find time where you can step back and relax and just recharge. And she ends the chapter by saying that if you don't know, or if you don't learn how to relax, you are not happy. You don't become a happy person. So that's a lesson that I've taken in quite seriously, and I do try and practice it, so I don't get overwhelmed and become uptight. The last chapter that I enjoyed was, she called it How Corona Took My Shirt Off. And she talks about her experience of losing millions because of lockdown, and she was quite depressed. But she then says that you can't grieve forever. At some stage, you've got to get out of bed, stop the pity party, and get going. And I think sometimes we tend to hang on to things that should have been and could have been. So this, for me, was a nice reminder that you've got to get on with things. And one of the key lessons that I learned from that chapter is that your work ethic counts for something, and also partnering with the right people, because all this paid dividends to her when the chips were down and she was losing, and she lost a lot of money. She called upon her partnership, and because of her work ethics, people were able to support her during this time. So like I said, the book is loaded with lots of humorous lessons, and one of them, she also talks about the importance of setting goals and having a plan. So I could relate to this fully, because I'm very much a person who likes to notes and make notes and to-do list and make a plan. So I loved that about being conscious about setting goals and setting a plan, which leads me to my next book, which is called A Woman Makes a Plan. And this book was written by May Moss. What attracted me to this book was the cover. So it's an elderly lady, she's in her 70s, and I was like, oh, I wonder what she has to say. And the key lesson for me was it's never too late to start again. It's never too late to start a business. Doesn't matter what your age is. She became successful more in her later years of life. So that was an important lesson. And also have the courage to start again from scratch. So she moved in several cities. I think it was 8 cities that she had to start afresh from. Her biography is about how she survived an abusive marriage, raised 3 kids, and how she juggled 2 professions as a model and as a dietitian. And she highlights the various incidences that impacted her growth. And so as and when she was starting afresh, she said one of the important things was getting yourself out there, right? Networking. And again, I could relate to this. I'm very much a background person. I don't like to be out there. But she says that if you don't put yourself out there, if you don't network and people don't know what you're about, then who's going to know who you are? And also, if you don't ask, you won't know whether it's a yes or a no. So there's no harm in asking. So that was also quite a big lesson for me, which I'm learning to implement now, is to network and share my story and share what it is that I do. She says it's okay to make a plan. Sometimes plans don't go right, which is fine. But the important thing is to make another plan. And I guess hence her title, When a Woman Makes a Plan. The last book is also by a South African. His name is McLean Swanda, and it's called Nuts and Bolts. So he shares his journey as the CEO of the Innovation Hub and his experiences or his views on the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Africa and in South Africa, particularly in South Africa. I enjoyed reading this book. It's very much a reference book, but I really enjoyed it because it gave me context of what is happening in the South African ecosystem and how incubators and accelerators, what role they play in the startups' lives. And he emphasizes that it's not only about getting funding, but also about finding an accelerator or an incubator that will stimulate innovation, commercialize, and help you to scale. It was the first time that I also learned about science innovation parks and the role they play in transitioning economies from being resource-based to being knowledge-based. So, there was a lot of takeout of this book. It was more of a serious book for me as a startup, and there were lots of learnings as well from other entrepreneurs who were also sharing their journey. What I found that was very important was that we need to be intentional as a country about grooming and supporting entrepreneurs, because this is the future of employment. This is where a lot of employment will come from, and the economies are going to thrive because of thriving entrepreneurs. So Africa doesn't need aid, it needs thriving entrepreneurs. So so these are my 3 favorite books that I've read lately, and I really like them because they're all written by South Africans, and so it was easy to relate to the context and to relate what they were talking about.
There is so much growth buried in books, and you cannot be on a journey towards personal development without a couple of great reads. Thank you so much, Sviso, for sharing those incredible reads with us. Up next, time for some more wisdom, but this time around with Pearls of the Hustle.
We go to clients all the time and convince them they should buy our products and services because we are the experts. We know all that needs to be known about a particular topic, and that's why we are the best supplier to them. But how do we make sure that we're always on top of our game? Checking your social media status doesn't qualify as reading. Romeo Kumalo spends some time telling us why it's important for you and I to read.
If you're going to be a specialist or you're going to focus in logistics, let's take that example, you've got to read and know everything about that sector. I find that people in the age of technology, I love technology, but I found people are not reading anymore. Nobody reads. Everyone is only on Twitter and Insta, and and then after you read Twitter and the articles on Twitter, then you kind of like, you're educated, Switch off. Have a digital free time. Switch off your iPad, switch off your phone, and read specifically around your sector. Be an expert. Sound knowledgeable. If you want to talk to me about logistics or data analytics or software or the Internet of Things, you better be good at it, and you better be an expert in it. Because if I know more than you and you are supposedly the entrepreneur, then it's a problem. So, educate yourself, and whether it's journals or articles or, the usual Economist, Harvard Business Review, Financial Times, Financial Mail, whatever you can get your hands on. But just read and read. Things are changing at such a rapid pace that I feel like a fool every other day.
I was sitting in a presentation on blockchain and the whole cryptocurrency thing. I mean, I left there and I said to my wife, I feel like a real damn fool, you know, because I feel like this world has just left me behind, you know, because things in this digital age, things are changing so quickly, and you have to keep yourself up to date. You have to educate yourself.
Running a business is a great personal commitment, and it is essential that you keep working on yourself so that you can make your business a success. Thank you so much for joining us on yet another successful I'm an Entrepreneur Summit. Please do get in touch with us. We absolutely love hearing from you. You can engage with us in the comments section on YouTube or Facebook, or if you've been streaming via our website, you can send us a WhatsApp on 078-350-0768. We absolutely love hearing from you. We're also on the socials on Facebook, I Am an Entrepreneur. Do like and follow our page. And of course, we're also on Twitter at IAAESA and the hashtag IAAE Summit. A very big thank you to our sponsors at FNB and our partners, Renault and ShopRite. I'm Karabun Sweng, and until our very next summit, keep learning, keep growing. The journey towards personal development never stops.
The I'm an Entrepreneur Summit is sponsored by FNB in association with our partners.